Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you joining us this morning. If you're watching this live, thank you for that. If you are watching this later, we do upload these shows to www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast, so we appreciate you looking there as well. We have audio and video versions. Please excuse me, I'm not 100%, I'm feeling a lot better, but I might have to clear my throat a few times during the show. I do apologize for that. Just going to try to, we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it together like we always say. First and foremost, your traffic. Looking like a pretty clear day today. Minor delays on I-12 westbound from O'Neill to Denham Springs. Not too bad. Going to have those intermittent delays, and then you're going to get past it. Looking pretty clear going into Baton Rouge, too, even around the 10-12 split, which is good for a Friday. You're looking at minor delays on 64 heading into Central, with minor delays as well on Greenville Springs, so not too bad there as well. 38 degrees is your current temperature. It's kind of chilly out there. 57 your high. 38 again your overnight low for tonight. Gonna get warmer over the next few days until we get back to sort of that 70 mid to high 70s, high 60s overnight for Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon, you're going to get some rain. It's going to get cold again. But for right now, you're looking at some pretty beautiful weather for over the weekend, and it's going to get steadily warmer until Tuesday. Let's jump into it. $130 million is what's going to be coming down for Lake Maurepas. Congressman Garrett Graves announced this just a few days ago. The purpose of the project is to try to impede or block or fight against saltwater intrusion. Many of you might remember that's what happened to Lake Pontchartrain. Eventually, the delta sort of wore away. Saltwater began to intrude, changed the ecosystem, changed the way the lake worked. Well, eventually it had overtaken Lake Pontchartrain and is now moving into Lake Maurepas. The Corps of Engineers, along with local politicians and local officials, are trying to combat that the best that they can. This $130 million will go a long way towards about a $250 million total project in order to, they're hoping, stop that completely. Again, that's $130 million coming down from the federal government to try to help Lake Maurepas and combat that saltwater intrusion. We talked a little bit about it, didn't get a chance to really talk about the feature story for this Thursday's paper, and that is a procurement committee. It's something that was brought up by Mr. Gary Frog Talbert. He seems to bring a lot of stuff up these days. And one of the things that he's after is this committee that would look at all of the RFPs and RFQs that the parish is shipping out. One of his concerns is that there are a lot of dollars coming from the federal government through even just Livingston Parish. Billions are coming to Louisiana. Hundreds of millions are coming through Livingston Parish. And in his mind, the council doesn't really have a very good idea of where those dollars are being spent right up until whoever's spending them shows up in front of the council and asks for approval. Talbert believes that it would be more fiscally responsible to have a committee that's dedicated to looking at any RFPs and RFQs, the responses to them, what the budget would be, what the project scope is, that kind of thing. Talbert said, I'm not an engineer or anything, I can't score these, but we need to make sure that we're spending the dollars appropriately and with the appropriate companies with the best bids. At first, when they fleshed out who was going to be on Ordinance Committee and Finance Committee, didn't have everybody he needed to put together a procurement committee, hoping he is hoping that he is going to be able to put one together at the February 27th meeting. So we'll keep you informed on that. The Delta Concrete saga inside Denham Springs, the rezoning for a housing authority development, has been flexed. They have tabled that, as we discussed on Wednesday. Planning and Zoning will not talk about that until March 9th. Now, the Denham Springs City Council met Tuesday night. They will not discuss that until March 23rd. That is because several citizens stood up and were concerned about, having the Planning and Zoning meeting March 9th, making their recommendation in the City Council, turning right back around and making a decision on March 10th. Many of them asked the council to take a couple of weeks, think about what comes up at the second Planning and Zoning meeting, think about the recommendation, and then wait a few weeks to make their decision. Ms. Laura Schmidt-Smith, who was a councilman in Denham Springs, asked the city attorney if there was a way that the council could make sure that Planning and Zoning was asking the questions that she believed were important. To which Stephanie Hewlett, who is the city attorney, told her she could write a letter or she could do the research herself and pass it along to them. Not entirely sure what path Schmidt-Smith will take at this point. Moving into sports, big win last night as boys soccer knocked off Grace King 4-0. Had a bye in the first round. This was a second round home playoff game. Unfortunately, Captain Shreve pulled off the upset in the round before, so Denham will be traveling to Shreveport for the next round game. It's a quarterfinal game, so wish them luck on that. Live Oak Wrestling believes that they have the mix necessary for a state championship run. They're looking for your support. You can check out that story by William Weathers at www.livingstonparishnews.com/sports. Also a feature there on Live Oak's Clayton Hill. He's been a pretty big staple for their wrestling program for the past 3 years. Going into his final year, his fourth year, he's looking to cap it off with a state championship. So check those stories out. Of course, girls basketball is wrapping up district tonight, so we'll be getting some playoff brackets over the weekend. Excuse me. Hoping to get some of those coaches in here to come talk about their playoff runs, what they're expecting, and how they expect to perform. Doyle looking to maintain that number 1 seed with a win tonight. French Settlement still looking to keep that high top 10 seed to make sure they can play at home. Several other very good girls teams in the parish. Dim Springs struggled a little bit against Zachary, looking to bounce back against Live Oak. Several teams that are in the mix for home games and top 10 spots. So keep an eye on those scores. Keep an eye on Twitter tonight for girls basketball returns. Of course, the boys, some of them are wrapping up district tonight. Some will extend it through next week. But their season does not officially end until next Friday. So we won't have their brackets until then. So 2 more regular season games for the boys. There's a ton going on tomorrow. First and foremost, we've already talked several times about the parades, and we'll talk about those in just a second. But Comic-Con, the annual Comic-Con going on at the library, is tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Dim Springs Walker Branch Library. You can check that out. It's always a ton of fun. Comic-Con in New Orleans has gotten very, very expensive. So the Dim Springs Walker Branch Library thought, well, we'll host our own. We'll try to make sure that these kids can enjoy the event, come out, give it a shot, see what it's all about. And maybe 1 year is just a big splurge the parents can pay and they can try to go to New Orleans. But it is a free event at the Dim Springs Walker Branch Library, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That is the Livingston Parish Comic-Con. We talked about it for a second. We're going to bring it back up. There are 3 parades tomorrow. There is the Crew of Denham Springs, the Diversion Canal, and Tickfaw. Now, the Diversion Canal and Tickfaw are boat parades, so be prepared to be, sitting on the bank, waiting for them to pass by. Of course, the Crew of Denham Springs, that is a rolling parade that starts at Denham Springs High School and heads southbound into the city. Now, the Crew of Denham Springs did announce that the Chase Tyler is going to be the Grand Marshal. He's had a big year, lots going on for him and his little band. So congratulations to him, and this is just another sort of capstone on a crazy 2019-2020. He will be your Grand Marshal for the parade tomorrow. I believe it gets rolling at 2. You can check out the schedule on our calendar events, www.livingstonparishnews.com/calendar, or check out the parade schedule at www.livingstonparishnews.com/living. One more time with your traffic. Again, minor delays between O'Neill Lane and Range Avenue on I-12 westbound, causing some minor delays on the surface streets, but not too bad. You're looking at minor delays on 64 heading into Central, with heavy delays now on Greenville Springs. There it is. Those heavy delays in and around the schools are starting to dissipate as folks drop their kids off, so looking pretty clear as you're trying to get out. Of course, those people will be added to the traffic count. 38 degrees is your current temperature. It's real chilly out there. 57 is your high. 38 degrees, again, your overnight low. Is going to get warmer over the next couple of days until Tuesday. Then it's going to rain again. Then we're looking at another cold stretch, much like the one we're in now. That's it. I made it. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you joining us this morning for the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. Want to apologize for yesterday. I was very much under the weather, high fever, all stopped up, just not a good scene. You didn't want to look at me anyway. Want to remind you guys that we are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays. We do upload these shows to www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We also have long-form podcasts there. Been doing a lot of them lately. Really hope you enjoy them. We're going to keep them coming as quickly as we can. I also want to remind folks, excuse me, that you can check out these morning shows specifically if you ever want to catch back up. Or if I'm not here one day, you can always go back and watch one. They are at www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. Thanks again for joining us this morning. We do appreciate it. Hope you have a great weekend. It should be sunny, should be nice, should be great for these parades. And we will be back in the booth on Monday morning. See you then.